Are you my son?
I'd be very proud to believe so.
Welcome to They Said We Said. This is John, aka Jonny Walker, coming back, giving you another Walking Dead spoiler review. Oh, yes, this is for Season 7, the premiere, the mid-season premiere, Rockin' the Road. Oh, it's so good to be back. It was great to be back from the break from Dead Guys Talking. Now it's great to be back giving you guys just normal spoiler reviews. So kick back, relax, enjoy a beer, like this 21st Amendment Brewery Sneak Attack Saison. Ew, or don't enjoy it. That's nasty. But anyways, guys, this one's directed by Greg Nicotero, just a master. He's always going to come back and direct his ass off, especially these premieres like Season 7, Episode 1 he directed, and now he's back to do this. Just whenever he's behind the camera, dressed as a walker or not, it's going to be amazing. The episode starts out with Father Gabriel. This is probably going to raise the most questions out of anything. He is kind of on watch and kind of sucking at his job because he leaves, he goes, and he clears out the entire food cache of whatever little things they had left of cans, and then he just kind of jumps in a car, takes off. There's been a lot of speculation that there was someone in the car with him. I'm not sure about that. It didn't really look like there was. My opinion, this is what I think. This is kind of like a speculation for next week's episode if this gets resolved. I think that when Father Gabriel was cruising around with Spencer that one episode, and Spencer was kind of talking shit about Rick, when he got out, maybe the junkyard group kind of, the person in the boots kind of grabbed onto our favorite creepy father and kind of assimilated him maybe in a way. I still seem to think that the junkyard group is going to be more friend than foe. Of course, Morales is there. That's what he's been up to this entire time. I think they're going to be more friendly, and I think maybe that's why Rick was happy to see someone we know from shows past, or Father Gabriel himself, and kind of looking like he has his shit together. So then we go back to the hilltop. We all have a big powwow with King Dick Gregory himself. He's just saying, no, Ricky, it's not going to happen. You guys had your shot. Margaret, I'm not listening to any more of your bullshit. We're not going, all we have is farmers and me, and I'm not getting up, and neither are my people. And of course it didn't work. Jesus seems to have a lot more pull, as does Maggie at this point, even though she's not technically from the Hilltop community. But they go out, and of course the Hilltop wants to join. So then our motley crew is about to go back to Alexandria, Daryl and all, except that Jesus says, hold on, you guys want to meet someone pretty sweet? So he goes and takes to the kingdom, meet King Ezekiel himself, Shiva and all. Now this part kind of took me, I love seeing King Ezekiel, I love seeing Shiva. I think it's really fun aspects of this show, especially that little guy that's like so excited to be there. Actually, not little guy, the big guy with the pole arm. But they're just so fun, and sometimes this show needs some levity, and the kingdom is definitely that. But it seemed a little off character to me that Rick Grimes, of all people, Mr. Matter of Fact, just kind of walks up and just kind of lets this all happen. He's just like, talking to this guy that's speaking like he's William Shakespeare, and it just seems like he's cool with it, and it seems like he trusts him, and he's all in. And yes, I understand that the survivors are kind of all in at this point. They're out of guns, they're out of food, they're out of everything, but it just seemed a little out of character. It took me a little bit out of it that Rick was just so on board to throw his chips in with King Ezekiel. So then, of course, they deliberate, and of course, Morgan screws it up again. He says, oh, no, you know what? There's going to be people dying. It's not just going to be Sabres. It's going to be our people, your people. Shiva's going to die. Everyone's going to die. So we probably shouldn't throw our hats in with the Grimes, which is fair point. But, what else are you going to do? Live under the barbed wire bat your whole life? No, of course not. You're going to join up with Rick, and he's going to whoop some ass. But yes, my decree is in the morrow, and guess what? No good. But we did get to keep Daryl in the kingdom for safekeeping, so because you knew that the Saviors were going to come a knocking, and guess where they went first? Of course, Alexandria. We get the little funny moment again. This episode had definitely some levity, always with the kingdom and King Ezekiel, but of course with Negan, I'm glad that he still made kind of a audio appearance in this show with his rendition of kind of a eulogy for Fat Joey, saying a Fat Joey and a skinny Joey is just a regular Joey. That was great. I'm glad that they put that in there. And then, you know, that we get out of the car and Rosita turns into, you know, Spec Ops, Black Ops Rosita. I know she had some training from our, you know, our favorite redhead, our favorite past redhead, you know, Mr. Abraham, but I didn't know she had bomb disarming. I mean, it was basically the Hurt Locker for a good, you know, 10 minutes of this episode, which was fine. It was great suspense. It led up to one of the coolest ass, you know, video game moments of The Walking Dead thus far, and that was the zombie mower. I mean, just ridiculously fantastic. You know, they put the steel cable up, and you know, they kind of drive with each other, mow down a whole shitload of zombies. You could tell where all the budget went for season 7, and that was with the Shiva shot and the zombie mower. But we all win. We're all winners here for it. So that scene was fantastic. They jump out of the cars. Of course, you know, Rick is in the middle of a mosh pit, so it was kind of high tension for a moment. You know, Rick's invincible at this point. So I wasn't like, oh my God, is Rick gonna make it? Because that would be stupid to assume that he wasn't. But it was tension filled, and it was, you know, he put himself right in the middle of a giant herd, and he came out without a scratch. Maybe those zombies were a little worse for the wear. Maybe they were a little dehydrated or something, because they just could not get a tooth into our fair leader, Mr. Grimes. So then there was a bit of foreshadowing once we get back into the car. With Michonne, she just kind of calms him down. She says, we're the ones that get to live. But she said, go ahead and smile. And how did this episode end? Probably one of the weirdest, most awkward freaking things ever. But we'll get to that in a minute. So another side note, I just want to say, Tara didn't piss me off in this episode. Oh my God, she is not back in the, you know, she's not back in the club or anything. But I didn't want, you know, her to get, you know, fist bumped by a rotten zombie maw. You know, she maybe she heard some ramblings. Maybe she heard me say she needs to step up her game a little bit. I like to think so. But then, right when we close the garage door, guess what? Guess who's back in town? Mr. Stephen Ott, Mr. Simon. Okay, I'm going to say something, and it's going to be... Hold on a second. I'm going to say something, it's going to be very disliked, I think. And just calm down. But, oh my God, Simon's character... He is like almost a better villain than Negan at this point. He just does asshole so good. I mean, there is Gregory kind of asshole, and there's Spencer kind of douche, and there's kind of badass, you know, kind of funny, whimsical villain like Jeffrey Dean Morgan portrays. But Stephen Ott is just killing this Simon character. He's not even a character from the book or from the comic, but he's just owning this thing. And he is just fantastic. He's bringing over all his charm from Grand Theft Auto, and he just lights up the screen every time he's on there. He just oozes with douchiness and scumminess, and he just plays the role so freaking well. I love the role. I love the character of Simon. So then after my favorite villain leaves, we kind of rummage through the aftermath of what was, you know, Hurricane Gabriel, and lo and behold, oh, why did he leave this Bible here? He would never do that. Well, guess what? It has a big word on it, and that word is boat. And what other boat did they just go to? Well, the boathouse. The boathouse where they went through the moat of walkers. Aaron and Rick had a little date. So Father Gabriel heads back there, and so the rest of the group follows. And that's when we get the introduction of the Junkyard Group. So the Junkyard Group, like I said before earlier in the video, I think are going to be more friendly than foe. I think there's going to be maybe a blast from the past. I don't know who it would be besides Morales. I know it's Morales. Looking kind of grim. You know, there's a herd of people kind of walking out. They kind of swarm our survivors, our good guys, and we get the scene. Yes, folks, that happened in The Walking Dead. So in terms of an episode, I thought it was freaking fantastic. I would say out of 5 awkward Rick Grimes smiles, I will give this one a solid 4.1. 4.1, really weird Rick Grimes, really creepy Andrew Lincoln. But yeah, fantastic episode. So glad the main show is back. Ladies and gentlemen, Ah, it's so good to be back. And if you want to find us, you could find my buddy Dead Guy Ty and I on Dead Guys Talking. Dead Guys Talking Survival Trivia. That's still going on. Just because the main show's back doesn't mean we're putting that on hold, because we have a gigantic match coming up, which I've already spoiled. That is Team Dead Guys versus Team Walking Bread. Man! So that, I mean, that's just incredible to say. I mean, I made it. I'm retiring at this point. I'm going to pour I'm not going to pour this out. I'm just going to pour it on my living room floor. So please like, comment, subscribe, virtually bite someone, spread the disease of They Said, We Said, and the Dead Guys Talking. This is Jonny Walker, and I'll see you next week.